I think it's very important that the transformation of agriculture, of smallholder agriculture in Africa is driven by climate-smart agriculture, because climate change is an effect which all farmers are already feeling a lot in terms of increased temperatures, in terms of the variability of rainfall, which means that the rainy seasons do not start when they are supposed to start. The rainfall is a lot less in many areas. In other cases, it is even so much more that it leads to floods. And farmers need to adapt to this, and they can actually adapt to this. And the solution is climate-smart agriculture. It is farming techniques which allow farmers to be resilient to these kind of shocks, and over the long run to also adapt to a warmer and even drier environment, and to be able to farm and to even be more productive. There are very many innovations which farmers can adopt, and some of them are already quite old. They've been around for a long time, but they've become more relevant now. And these include the combination of farming techniques like multi-cropping or agroforestry, where different plant species can support each other with shade, with different nutrient requirements and different water requirements, and overall create a more moist environment, a microclimate in which the plants can actually be more productive. But then there are also some new innovations, like, for example, special irrigation techniques, subsoil irrigation, which uses even less water than drip irrigation. Hardy cultivars of plants which are more adapted to a dry environment and which are productive even when it is very hot in the flowering season. And also some animal breeds which are also adapted to heat stress and which can be productive and which do not fall ill so easily when the heat is greater and when the pest pressure is also higher. Climate finance is a very large area in the field of development finance, and we see that only very little of the overall climate finance is actually finding its way to smallholder farmers, even though they are the ones that actually need it most. We have 33 million smallholder farmers in sub-Saharan Africa, and they all are feeling the brunt of climate change. Now they get a very small share of climate financing, and it's very important that development projects include the support to climate-smart agriculture so that these farmers can adopt techniques which will make them more resilient in the future. Well, some of the measures I've just mentioned, it includes farming practices like multi-cropping, like agroforestry, including hardy cultivars. Then they can even go for some completely innovative approaches like perennial grains, which do not have to be sown every year and which can produce over a long period. There is the SRI technique of producing intensified rice with much less water and with less methane emissions, also a technique that incorporates both the mitigation and the adaptation approach to climate-smart agriculture. And then there are also approaches which incorporate better fisheries techniques, where farmers can produce their own fish food for aquaculture, where they can have water recycling systems on their own farms, where the effluent from the fish ponds is used for irrigating the farms with fertilizer coming straight from the fish. So once farmers have more cyclical approaches to production, a lot of climate-smart activities can actually be realized at the farm level. Often it is knowledge. Farmers do not receive the information because they do not have access to an agricultural extension system, because the agricultural extensionists are not aware of certain techniques, and therefore it is very important to promote these types of technologies amongst the farmers. And it is not easy to have systems that actually have a large outreach to millions of farmers to improve their systems. Then also there is investment which is required with some of these activities. Installing an agroforestry plot is actually an investment because for some time it will be less productive, but once it is established, it will produce a lot more and more different crops. So for these activities, some farmers will need direct investments, for example, in the form of grants. Some activities can also be financed through loans, like, for example, solar water pumps for irrigation or for aquaculture.